yet to find the will to come forward to law enforcement, and perhaps it is because of a distrust of law enforcement. Perhaps it is because of a fear of retaliation or some other reason. But in the end, if we don't have people come forward and find the will to provide us that information to stop this killing, we know what's going to continue. We're going to continue with press conferences like this about tragedies that are happening across our shared community. That has to stop. Law enforcement is pleading with the community. Help us find those that have information. Help them find the will to come forward to us and share that information so we can hold those accountable, because they deserve answers. Makayla deserves justice. Makayla's mom deserves justice. In that vein, I've been giving a letter from Makayla's mom, Felicia Martinez. She'd like me to share it with you all now, so I'm going to read it. Makayla Harris was senselessly taken away from me and her family on July 17, 2021. I send love and comfort to all the victims and their families who were also affected by this tragic night. Makayla was beautiful, happy, and recently graduated high school. To the community, my family and I are asking for continued privacy as we are grieving the loss of our beautiful Makayla. I am also asking anyone with information to come forward and speak with the investigators to help solve this senseless tragedy. I know someone out there knows who did this. Please do the right thing and help hold the person or persons accountable for their actions. We deserve closure, and Makayla, who had her innocent life taken, deserves justice. This is to the coward that took my baby from me. You will pay for what you did, because I will not lay down, and I will never stop fighting for my baby girl. I will not stop seeking justice for Makayla Marie Harris. Thank you. Signed, Felicia. I have another letter that I'd also like to share from one of the family members of a victim of the shooting that night. It reads as follows. July 17, 2021 has forever changed me and my life, and the lives of my daughter, her friends, and their families will never be the same. This is the day that took my daughter's innocence away. Her life was violated when she was only doing what many young people do, hang out with friends. Out of the 4 young ladies that were hanging out that night together, 3 were shot, and not one of them lost their life. However, what my daughter and her friends had to go through that day, I would never wish on my worst enemy. This was the day that her and her friends had to endure pain that as a mother I'll never be able to take away or mend the physical wounds that they will forever have. This is the day that Makayla's life was taken. I'll never understand the intentions this individual or individuals had, or why my baby girl and her friends had to be affected by such senseless actions. But one thing I do know is that it was not fair. They did not deserve any of this, and Makayla did not deserve to lose her life like this behind some stupidness. As a mother, my heart bleeds for her family, and I don't think a day will ever go by that I don't ask why. My family is forever scared, and my daughter has to live the rest of her life with these wounds. As I try to make sense of it all, my head is at a loss and my heart is heavy. I don't think I'll ever understand. Although finding who caused all this hurt won't change the outcome, it will not bring Makayla back or remove the scars from these young ladies. Someone still needs to be held accountable. Makayla will never be seen again on this earth because her life was taken too soon, and the other young women will never be the same because of that. Everyone has a conscience, and my prayer is that someone's conscience will bring them to speak up for Makayla and the friends that she was with that night, whose lives have been forever affected by the events of this day. With that, again, you see that we're joined by some of Makayla's family and friends. I wanted to see if ladies, any of you would like to say anything?
Go somewhere.
Okay, I'll go first. I just wanted to say I had a lot of things I wanted to say, but it's too long and too much. But I do want to say that if anybody really does know anything, just come forward, come anonymously, anything. It'll help just to get Makayla's mom and dad justice for their baby girl. That she's no longer here. And we love you, Makayla, so much. And I'm sorry that this had to happen so tragically and so soon. Love you.
Go. Oh, y'all done? Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. I just want to start off by saying, if you guys do know anything, just come forward. I want to thank Makayla for giving me a good friendship, and that's it. That's it. Ooh.
I just want to say that Makayla is an amazing person, and she did not deserve this. And to anyone that knows anything, please just come forward, give them justice, let their mind be at peace. We have laid Makayla to rest, but we also need justice. So if anybody has anything to say, please just come forward.
I really don't know what to say. I don't like crying in front of people. But if we could just get justice for my cousin, that would be good. I can't help.
You can see the pain and the anguish that they're still experiencing. And we know that these aren't the only families in our city that are experiencing this pain and anguish, as we've seen other incidents play out. Before I take any questions, I do want to recognize some of the partners here with us today from the Metro Safe Streets Task Force. We have Parakram Singh, Assistant U.S. Attorney, one of our main federal prosecutors in trying to reduce all things related to the gun violence that we're seeing in our shared community. We have Senior Deputy District Attorney from Multnomah County, Todd Jackson, who's been a tremendous partner as we decide which venue is best to hold these people accountable, be it in the federal system or the state system. ATF Resident Agent in Charge, Jesse Woolley for the state of Oregon. Matt Schlegel, the head of the Metro Safe Streets Task Force for the FBI. And then we have Acting Assistant Chief and Commander of Detectives for Portland Police Bureau, Tim Robinson, and Sergeant Michelle, I'm spacing on your name, Michelle, Hughes, sorry. Sergeant Michelle Hughes, also from the Portland Police Bureau. So with that, I'm happy to take a couple of questions.
Darren, you touched on the unprecedented level of gun violence in our city. We're approaching the record 70 homicides in 1 year. Can you explain why or how the FBI gets involved in, say, this case versus others?
So in regard to any case related to gun violence here in the city, when it comes to incidents or investigations that are related to gang violence, retaliatory cycles of violence between two groups, and we don't have to call them gangs, you can call them whatever you want. But when we see that operating under the guise of not just that criminality, but a variety of other criminalities, we have federal statute that we can leverage in partnership with our state and local partner agencies, and that's where we're trying to bring forth the Metro Safe Streets Task Force model so that we can leverage all of these resources, all of this jurisdiction, all of this expertise, and then obviously, as exemplified by this, some financial resources as well to hopefully find some closure on some of these investigations.
I understand that you probably can't say too much about the investigation itself, but can you share, was Makayla an intended target, wrong place, wrong time sort of thing? What can you tell us about that?
Bottom line, all the people that were at this incident, all bystanders. All bystanders. And you know what? It doesn't matter whether somebody has any issue at the time. The fact is no one deserves to be shot. Certainly no one deserves to be killed. And in this incident, it exemplifies, this was a mass shooting. The FBI defines a mass shooting as 4 or more people that are injured. That kind of flew under the radar here, and it's not the first mass shooting we've seen in this city. And tragically, their friend, their loved one, Makayla, an 18-year-old, is killed. It's unacceptable.
Can you tell us anything about the other 6 who were wounded? We've learned very little about the other. Were they friends of Makayla? I think there was a reference in one of the letters that 3 of the other 4
So admittedly, we have not shared any information. We're not releasing the names. At this point, that's pursuant to their requests and the investigation. But bottom line, here's the thing. They're doing as well as can be expected when you are the victim in a mass shooting. Meaning, as you saw from the one letter I read, they're suffering as well. And you know, the scary thing is, it's become almost so commonplace to see people with gunshot wounds here that it's not as impactful as it should be. That, you know, these people that were there, that were injured, they're suffering a great deal, no doubt, and they're doing as well as can be expected.
Can you say whether they're male, female, or their teens and their twins?
I'm not going to go into who they are, their identifiers, or anything like that. We want to protect their privacy as well. They do have that right to privacy. But I know that they are coming to us as team law enforcement, expecting us to find answers and demanding justice in the same way that these ladies are.
You mentioned the retaliatory nature. Do you have any reason to believe that this shooting was retribution for a prior one, any that have happened since or connected?
I'm not going to go into any details as to whether this incident is related to something else, but the fact is it was a mass shooting. 6 people injured, one person killed. That's as serious as it gets.
This is one of several shootings that have happened near bars and public places this year. What do you make of that?
It's horrible. I mean, that's what I make of it. It's horrible. It's frightening. And that's why, you know, as law enforcement, be it Portland Police Bureau, Multnomah County, you know, Gresham Police, the ATF, the FBI, we're trying to pull out all the stops here. You know, the safety aspect, the public safety aspect here has degraded to a significant extent that people are scared, and they shouldn't be.
Do you need more support from Portland City you're not here?
Well, law enforcement's here. This is a law enforcement issue. This isn't a political issue. When we talk about people lying in the streets with gunshot wounds, that is a law enforcement issue. I'll set the politics aside and let them have their own statements. We partner with the city in a very holistic way, though. We partner with the county in a very holistic way. We meet with all sorts of agency heads that are even outside of law enforcement. But when it comes to this is a law enforcement concern.
When you spoke about a reluctance here or a lack of people coming forward with information, have you been able to interview any witnesses that were there that night that maybe aren't giving information you think that they may have or are refusing to speak to you?
Well, one of our problems that we're seeing at every shooting almost is all of a sudden people are fleeing the scene, obviously, you know, rightly so if they're safety concerned, but then not willing to come back and speak with law enforcement. And we're seeing this play out over and over and over again, to include people that are victims in shootings, that have that reluctance, that have that resistance. That's what we're trying to pierce here. And we're trying to pierce it in support with the community, for the community to come forward and say, look, if you know something about one of these shootings, you need to step up. Doing the right thing is hard sometimes, but they need to step up. And we're having this happen too many times, that reluctance. And as I said before, it could be for a variety of reasons. Distrust of law enforcement, we understand. We're in a very, you know, tumultuous period with this huge societal demand for change in law enforcement. Law enforcement hears that. We're doing everything we can to respond to that. But at the same time, we need the community to step forward, and we need these victims to come forward. If you know something about this little girl's murder, you need to come forward. If you know something about any of these other shootings, where we have all these other people killed or injured, you need to come forward. Anything else? Great. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. We really appreciate it. Thank you, ladies. Good job.